Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly show. I'm Skara, your grateful host, and this is the show I do usually every week for the patrons. Now, every once in a while, like today, I open it up to all of you on YouTube, so make sure you sit back and relax. It is a Warhammer 40k slash tabletop gaming variety show where I talk a little bit about things that have happened to me in the hobby. We go over patron questions, Q&A, discussions, and then we dive into a list building segment for Warhammer 40k army lists. Usually Warhammer 40k army lists, where patrons of certain tiers can submit a list and I read it and give them thoughts, and sort of like it's a list clinic. It's a really fun time that I do, and it's one of the cool perks of being one of the denizens. And every once in a while I open it up to you because you're all awesome on YouTube, so thank you so much for hanging out with me. And let's dive into today's show, which is season 3 of the weekly show. That means I've been doing it for, 3 years now? And this is episode 32. So we're getting close to the end of the season. And usually the end of the season happens to be the World Team Championship, which is coming up in, 4 weeks? Something like that, down in Austria, which is great. Now, this is the second to last show that I'm going to be having for the weekly show season. Maybe there are 2 more shows. Yeah, I think there's 2 more shows after this. So it'll be 35 episodes to the season, and then I'm taking a couple weeks off after the WTC, and then we'll come back with season 4 of the weekly show for all of you wonderful folks. Which means not next week, because next week I'm in Tacoma, the GW Open in Tacoma, Washington. Then I have a show on the 25th. Then on the 1st of August, and then on the 3rd, I fly to Austria I fly to Vienna and then go to Leoben for the WTC, where I will be participating in the War Masters event, the singles. I'm very excited about that. And I will also be participating in the World Team Championship as a member of Team Canada, which I'm really pumped about as well. Hello, Troy, what's going on? Hello, Don Hoosen. Don Hoosen, you are my hero. I can't wait to see you again, my friend. And I love that your Death Guard are the meta right now, because you get to stomp all over everyone. And it's just super, super fun. Richard, hello. How's it going? Of course, everybody in chat, thanks for coming to hang out. Singles, WTC teams, madness. That's a lot of games. Hello, Foz. Yes, lots of games. I have played more games than I can count. We had the Team Canada practice weekend last weekend. Actually, hold on one second. Are WTC lists visible, says Mr. Happy. WTC list submission is this Sunday. So this Sunday they get submitted, and then they get, I believe they are revealed on the 14th, like the Monday or Tuesday, and then we do like list checking, and then they do pods on the 15th or 16th, where they're going to be splitting all the countries up into their main pods. There are 42 teams at the World Championship this year, which means that there are 10 pods, but one of them is a 6-team pod. So it's a big pod of 6 teams, and that pod is going to be just a little bit weird, but it was the only way to kind of fit like the weird number of pods, because normally it's like FIFA style. You have pods of 4 teams, and then each pod plays 3 games. So you basically play a round robin in your pod, and then that seeds everybody into the champ for the last 4 rounds of the event, because it's 7 rounds. Yeah, it's a lot of games of Warhammer. Let's just say it definitely gets you going. It's 2 rounds per day for like 3 days, and one on the Thursday night. Anyway, it's a lot of games. Okay, it's a lot of games. Hello, Matt Hole. What's going on? Thanks for coming to hang out, everybody. Make sure you hop into the chat if you have any questions. I'm gonna go grab. Yes, Scary is medicated for ADHD, and I've been kind of weeding myself off for a couple of days, because I wasn't sleeping properly, and I was like, I'm pretty sure the meds are making me stay up until like 2 o'clock in the morning. So because I was so tired, I was like, I just need to like get off my meds. But then when I like actually do gaming and stuff, I'm like, I need to focus when I need to do work. So I'm going to go grab my meds. Just give me 2 seconds. But let me know in the chat, what is it that you're excited about, especially with these new FAQs that came out, because we're going to be talking about those FAQs. So leave a comment down below. The changes, the FAQs, did they affect you in any way? And we'll come back to that as well. Absolutely, Tommy. It's going to be a good time, my friend. Looking forward to it. I've already got some really good ideas as well. I'm on Vyvanse, for anybody who's wondering. Vyvanse? Is that what it is? Yes. Which is what my brothers ended up being on, which then kind of cut down the trial and error for me. But it's been working wonders. But right now I was on 20 mils, and it's too much. I was on 10, and then I was like, I'm going to try 20s, and then 20s they just don't do they're just too much for me. I just need a 10, just a small amount, just to keep me focused throughout the day. I am on caffeine, says Cosmic. That's normally what is that is definitely an upper as well. I've been tempted to try meds, but had a student who had a complete mental break off starting on them, so I've been a bit scared. It really does depend, right? There is a fine line between it. Being 37 years old, me, and having lived with sort of not really doing anything, and basically compensating for it with, as they said, intellect. But it has been a huge help for me. But a very low, the lowest dose is probably the best thing for me. It just allowed me to sit down and have conversations with people without feeling like I need to stand up and go do the dishes in the middle of a conversation, or go do the laundry, or fold, or do stuff while I'm trying to, it's allowed me to chill the F out, right? It's just been great. I'm excited about life. Still annoyed they swapped the Lord of Contagion to a 40 mil, to a 50, to a 40. That's right, Don Houston. You better get all your... You should have a Lords of Contagion on lots of different size bases. I don't know, whatever. At least they're not on 25-meter bases. So, the way the show works, I'm going to ramble on for a little bit, and then we're going to dive into the Q&A. But thanks all for coming to hang out. It's Friday. Oh, man, such a good time. I've been doing some cool hobby. I've been painting. I have been, fixing all of my bits boxes. I literally I bought some new bits boxes, and I have been going through all of my bits boxes and just organizing all my bits. And that has been really good. I was under the weather the last couple of days, so I didn't go to mini wargaming to film. So I rested, and I feel so much better. I feel so good. Miss full rerolls in Overwatch for my bikes. Yes, for your the bikes. You mean the Necron bikes? Okay. Oh no, you mean the Eldar bikes. Yes, that is true, because it's no longer the closest eligible or whatever. Good morning, Zinth. What's going on? So, yeah, so this next weekend I'm in Tacoma. This weekend is my dad's retirement party, which is going to be super fun. He's finally decided to retire. He's, I think, almost 70. He's 67, 68. He's finally decided that he can retire now. Him and my mom have been doing all of the work to sort of get all the finances in order to be able to make that happen. And so yeah, this is we're doing a barbecue this weekend, which is going to be really nice. I'm going down to 10th Planet this afternoon, to do the live stream in 10th Planet, so that's going to be really fun. So if you want to watch me play my Dark Eldar list that I will be taking to Tacoma, right? Not the Necron list. I'll be playing at the Worlds event, but because I can't show that off yet. But the Dark Eldar list that I'll be playing at Tacoma. Make sure you tune in. because I'll be playing, I think, against Chaos Space Marines or something, which will be super fun. But that's on the X Planet Live YouTube channel. That should be about 5:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll probably go till about 10 p.m. And then tomorrow I drive to go see my dad. And then I go see the Toronto Football Club in the stadium. I'm in a lot of driving. A lot of driving tomorrow. Foz! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, moving on. You know what? That's it. That's it. That's all I have. That's all I have. There was a crusade at the store at the Tabletop Forge. For anybody who doesn't know, crusade is the way that I balance the amount of competitive play that I play. Crusade, and then like going to like mini wargaming and playing like 4th edition and like one-page rules and Ravage Star. Like those are like the games that just kind of are simple enough and they're just chill, so I don't have to worry too much about them. And then it comes to like crazy competitive 40k. But yeah, the first thing we want to talk about is the FAQs. Now, shout out to Allspecs Tactics. I know his videos can be very like monotonous in tone, but he does a lot of them, and it was great. I put it on the background, listened to his updates thing. Great synopsis on the changes, so I highly recommend that video. And the changes themselves are fine. You know, nothing too crazy. I was hoping for Death Guard point changes because Death Guard be tweaked. Death Guard really need a bit of a. They don't need that many things. Okay, they could go up a little bit, just a little bit, maybe like 200 points. Just lose 1 or 2 of your crazy hulls, and you should be fine. You will be fine, Don. You will be fine. A couple of different changes to like some stratagems and mechanics and stuff like that. A lot of them don't apply at the World Championships because they're like, oh, it's past the rules cutoff date, which I've never freaking understood. Like, just use the gosh darn rules for fudge sakes. My Emperor's Children got deep fried. Why do they get deep fried? What changed with the Emperor's Children? I have to face Chris's Death Guard in the TTS League. I'm not looking forward to it. Yeah, you need practice. You know, practice into the stuff in the meta is good. Just play it once or twice to see how it feels, and it is what it is. Eventually, your army will shine. Your army will be that thing that like pops up at the top, and then it'll be like, pow, just everywhere, right? Which is always a good time to do it. And then, yeah, Brendan, let me know, like, why did your Emperor Children get deep fried? Death Guard, Chaos Knights, and Imperial Knights need a hit. I agree. I think Imperial Knights, Chaos Knights, Death Guard are probably the big 3 at the moment. And you know, Games Workshop has been good at balancing stuff. You know, they tweaked a few things. You know, I played into the pocket bloodletters a lot recently. So it was nice to see that change where the pocket bloodletters, like pocket sand bloodletters, could only pop out more than 6 inches away from the enemy, so it makes it less like obnoxious, even though it's still obnoxious. The change to the Forge Fiend things, and the Overwatch stuff, it's not a change, it's just a clarification of what I thought was the rule. Being that, yeah, you don't get your rerolls on Overwatch unless you're shooting at the closest visible non-engaged enemy unit or whatever. I don't feel confident with them after the point nerfs. I'm a new player, so the extra stuff helped. Yeah, that is true. I guess they did get the Demon Princes are the things that really got point nerfed. And that's the thing about Emperor's Children is they're like an elf army with marine bodies. So it's like you have to play with something that's very like they're very, you know, it's very like unique in that they do a lot of damage, but as soon as you commit them, they sort of die back. Demon Princes being the exception. Look at John Lennon's list that he took to Edmonton. That's probably one of the most balanced lists that has a good variety and can do quite a bit of damage. It punches up quite a bit. I think those Mauler Fiends have a lot to do with it as well, being able to advance and shoot and charge, you know? So it makes them like quite aggressive and fast. I think that really helps. Plus they've got the melta guns that can kind of hurt stuff as they jump in, and just gives you a little bit of extra punch. You know what I mean? Is that no? He took coterie. The one where you pledge kills or whatever. Han Gallegos. Not sure if this has been answered or been considered, but 10 incubi with an Archon in Sky Splinter for the Imperial Knight, Chaos Knight meta, decent or still points? Big point sink. GW did say it was going to be the year Chaos. That is also true. Well, Mr. Gallegos, like, look, I've done the 10 incubi with an Archon, and it works really well until the knight that you're fighting has an invul save in close combat, and then it's just risky. And it's a lot of points. Like, I think a court tends to just be better because it can also shoot as well. And I think shooting and having the grenade keyword and then charging is like better than just punching. So I would probably always go to court first. Or -1 damage. Oh yeah. -1 damage, especially in the Chaos Knight one. That is so annoying. Like, the fact that you can use it in shooting and combat is insane. Is very silly. Okay, moving on. FAQ, check. Done. We talked about that. Let's dive into the first part of the show, which is the Patron Q&A. So, if you're a supporting patron, you can go onto the Discord, and there's a thread that I post up every week that we're going to have a show. So, the next one will be popping up, not next week, because I don't have a show next week, but the week after. And you can go pop in, just drop a question. I will read it, we'll discuss, we'll move on. And then the second part of the show is what I like to call the list crunch. As you can see here, it's the most delicious part of a nutritious, competitive meal. Mainly breakfast, where folks can post a list, and I will break it down. We'll talk about the lists and go over that and stuff like that, and that's kind of how this works. So if you're a patron, thank you so much for your support. The links are down below if you'd like to support the channel. And, of course, like, share the video, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about all the changes and what you're excited about moving forward. Hello, Deadman. What's going on? Good morning. Good morning. Hopefully everything's going okay. So, first question is from Hai. It says, for a deep striking Harlequin troop, what melee loadout would you pick? Harlequin blades or Devastated or the special weapons? So I use the Harlequin blades. I basically fish for the devastating wounds. The extra attack is the biggest reason. So I just run 11 Harlequin blades. 10 Harlequin blades and 1 power sword. So the power sword on like the squad leader, then the 10 Harlequin blades. Those extra attacks are incredibly powerful, especially if you're running like sustained or lethals as the stratagem for Sky Splinter. I'm assuming you're using them in Sky Splinter, in Reaper's Wager, if you're running the deep striking Harlequin troop. Like the strength 3 and strength 4 rarely come up as a difference, mainly because you can pick like the +1 to wound ability on the troop. So it's not like you absolutely need the extra strength most of the time, because against vehicles, you're going to be wounding them on 5s regardless with the +1 to wound. And it really only helps into like against Marines that are T4 or Guardsmen that are T3. And so that's like the only reason you'd want the special weapons. But I would just go for just extra attacks. Honestly, all the attacks, especially if you're fishing for devastating wounds, is my go-to. Personally, I'm leaning towards special weapons as they have 4 up to wound T8 instead of T up to. They have a 4+ to wound up to T8 instead of up to T6. Yeah, that makes sense. The lose 10 attacks with dev wound possibility is the reason I would just want the blades. I just want more rolls, more attacks, more abilities to get sustained, more chances to get lethal hits if I'm running the strats, etc. Thought you hated clowns. Special weapons is best. Sheldon. He's like, no, shut up, Scary. Special weapons are the best. I prefer the blades. I prefer rolling a bunch of extra dice. 10 extra dice is like, 2 or 3 extra dev wounds. than the special weapons. But that's also mainly because I also run a unit of Hellions a lot of the time, and the Hellions are the strength 4, so they like help offset that. They're the ones that I send into like more infantry style stuff, whereas the Harlequins are very much like more of a get in and do some extra damage and stuff like that. I still like the 69 Haywires. Yes, I know you can make a an army with 69 Haywire shots. Was that what it was? Per turn or something silly? That's insane. In a night meta, I feel like that'd be really funny. I like blades and 12 in the troops, so I can tell my opponent, so this is 60 attacks. Yeah. Actually, I did it against Ben in the latest battle report. I was like, okay, 5 attacks each. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so many attacks. And just the dev wounds alone, like, killed the whole unit. I was like, didn't even have to roll saves. I was like, and there's 13 dev wounds. They're all dead. It felt amazing. And Ben was very sad. But hopefully that answers your question, Heim, in terms of, what I like, etc. Moving on, Dr. Nick asks, hello, Scary. Hi. What is your favorite model that you own? Can you show us? No. No, my Tantalus is like the favorite model that I own. I think that's one of the favorite models that I own. There's nothing else that I really have on hand right here that I would say is my favorite model. But my Tantalus is like one of those that I really, really love. And my Tantalus ends up is at the store in a display cabinet. And that's like, I love, even though he's Legends, still one of my favorite models. Also, what's your favorite model you don't own? Oh, that's a great question. What's a favorite model that I don't own? I'll think on that. There's definitely one of those that there's so many cool looking models. Like, is it from Warhammer specifically? Is it from any range of models? There are some really sexy looking models. Is there anything that I don't own that I sort of wish I did own? Model-wise. Not sure. Like, my brain doesn't really work that way. I've trained my brain not to, like, want things I don't own. Because I worked in sales for so long. So I'm just completely dead to the FOMO. I just don't care. But I will, Dr. Nick, that is a great question. I'll have to get back to you on that. I'll probably like go through and look at it and go, ooh, yes, I'd love that model or something. It's probably like an OG model of some sort, one that I always wanted to own but never did because of the fact that like I just couldn't afford it or I was a kid at the time. I'll think about it. We all know it's a defiler. Crab gang. Actually, it's really funny, Don. I keep on telling people, defilers on bases are way easier to play than defilers without bases. Like, the fact that the base is smaller than the model, because even the knees pop out of the defiler, and because it's a walker, all the walker rules make it very easy to use, to squeeze through spaces, and to like overhang the table and stuff. I feel like defilers with bases is they're much better than defilers without bases because they're walkers. Exactly. Any hopes for reveals on the 18th? I don't know, but they are teasing us something fierce with little Dark Eldar Raiders on the Tacoma things. Maybe they know I'm going, so they're just making it a special just for Scary Day, as he says expectantly. Thunderhawk Gunship. Oh man. Thunderhawk Gunship would be really cool. Like that was a model that I always wanted to own that I never did. Like the original Thunderhawk. There was a point where I did, like, it was an iconic thing, like back when I was playing with my Black Templars. Thunderhawk gunships, drop pods, all those things were just so cool. and they were in the lore, and they always talked about them, and I always wanted one. They were like massive. Hey AJ, what's going on? And yeah, like, and I even got like the instructions to make one like out of cardstock and cardboard and stuff, and I started making one back in the day, like scratch building one. And I don't remember how far I got. Like I got to the point where the fuselage was done, I think, pretty much. Phantom Titan from Armor Cost. There's an old one, Mark. That's an old one. I could see you hugging one of those. Yeah, and then put it right next to my actual Phantom Titan from that Gear Guts Mech Shop gave me as a gift so that we could play Apocalypse together. Yeah, although we've played 2 Apocalypse games together. Kyle, Gear Guts Mech Shop, Kyle, I want to play more games with you, buddy. Okay. Moving on. That was a great question. Chaos Drifter says, is 18 Dark Lenses too many or not enough? So that is a trick question, because 18 Dark Lances is always the right amount of Dark Lances, but always not enough Dark Lances. Yeah. Trick question. It can be both at the same time. Dark Lances are the coolest weapon ever, but no matter how many you have in your list, they will never be enough, because they will break your heart. Dark Lances will make you sad, but they will also be amazing. Like it's like a constant. It's like being a junkie. You know, it's like you're looking for that high of that one time where 2 Bright Lances blew up a Land Raider because you rolled max damage, right? Whereas you rolled 16 damage and you were like, oh, I killed it with 2 Dark Lance shots, which is what I did to Magnus one time. Or back, was it 3 Dark Lances I went through or something, and I just nuked Magnus in a single volley. That was fun. And then other times you can shoot 20 Dark Lances into a single Rhino and do 0 damage because it passed all its cover saves. Ugh. You all got any more Dark Lances? That's right. So Chaos Drifter, it's both. I think it'll never be enough. You will never have enough Dark Lances, but they are never too many. So yeah, you can always have more Dark Lances. And yeah, that's the question. Good, supplement it with some Haywire is what I would always recommend. Make sure there's some Haywire in there just to make sure your opponent doesn't get saves if you roll 4-ups. I've had Haywire Scourge do 30 damage, and I've had Haywire Scourge do 0 damage after hitting 12 times. So you never know. Tonight, X Planet. Woo! That's right, AJ. Let's go, baby. Let's go. I'll see you there. I have to actually, after this, I start my coaching calls, but I have to go to the store. I have to pack my army, get that all ready, get my dice and all that stuff, and then I'll be heading down at some point in the afternoon to try and avoid all the crazy traffic. And then we'll get going. It'll be a fun time, I tell you. Moving on, Phil asks, what can I do to convince you to try Marvel Crisis Protocol? And maybe some content for it on your channel. Currently, my favorite skirmish game. Well, Phil, now, it doesn't take much to convince me to try the game. Marvel Crisis Protocol, actually, Josh from Mini Wargaming has been trying to get me to play Marvel Crisis Protocol for a while. So, yeah, GTA Friday afternoon traffic. I know, gross, right? So I'll tell you what, Phil. So I'll talk to Josh, see if he can teach me the game. As for content, sadly, I don't think it would make it on my channel, because I would put up a video for Marvel Crisis Protocol, it would get 400 views, and then my algorithm would have an aneurysm, and it'd be like, nobody likes this content. I don't know why. And then the next video I put out just wouldn't get pushed as far, which sucks. Now, I am thinking of starting a secondary channel where I could put more esoteric content of stuff that I like that isn't part of my main channel, so it doesn't mess up the algorithm. But I would love to try it. If not, Phil, you come down to Mini Wargaming and we could literally film a game of Marvel Crisis Protocol. Or reach out to Josh and he would actually play with you and put you on the channel. Because they're always looking for people to play some cool games with like that. So that's always a good thing. Yeah. Shatterpoint. Is Shatterpoint pretty good? I know I played Star Wars Legion, but I've heard Shatterpoint is pretty good as well. Yesterday, I failed all the hits with the Wraith Knight in 3 rounds. Well, that happens, Daniel. Also, Daniel, the link you posted to your paste bin was empty. It was just a link to paste bin, not your list. So it was blank. So we'll have to wait till next week for yours, Mr. Daniel. Or the next show, sadly, unless you post it in the chat here. You definitely be Web Warriors. It's Drukhari of the game. It's the Drukhari of the game. Would I be Web Warriors? Neat. We're just gonna have to fight next time we meet up, I see. There's gonna be fisticuffs. Fisticuffs. Oh, we've got in the chat, we've got some rivalry. Skirmish game rivalry in the chat. Can't throw cars at people in Shatterpoint. That's true. The Hulk smash. Hulk smash. And Magneto throw car. Blew a land fortress with one volley of haywire scourges. Felt awesome. Yeah, Charlie Sparrow. That's it. It's like you're playing with Dark Eldar. It's like it's either amazing or like you look at it and go, that's not supposed to happen. Shatterpoint has an amazing TTS mod. Oh, there you go. Look at that. So what's better, Shatterpoint, Marvel Crisis Protocol? I don't know. Maybe in chat you could let me know. Chat, leave a comment down below if you've played either or. I'm curious to see now what the community says. But thanks for your question, Phil. But yeah, hit me up and we'll see about doing something like that. Old Martin asks, have you ever played a faction or list several times and realized it isn't working for you? Yes, I have. What steps would you take to make it work? And at what point would you say it's time to drop it completely? Oh, that's a great question. Oh my goodness gracious. What in the hell? Ow. Ow. Pain. My back. Ow, shooting pain. That hurts. Oh my goodness gracious, the pain. Okay. Can you tell I'm old? Like, I'm just falling apart here. Does my back need to crack? I don't know. Why did it all of a sudden have shooting pain down my back? Oh. Maybe I just need to, like, stand up for a second. Oh my god. Oh. Oh my god. Oh. Ow. Why is it so painful? Eek. Okay. Have you ever played a faction list several times and known it's not working for you? Yes. What steps would you take to make it work? So usually, originally when I was like trying to learn like a new way of playing a list or something like that, I'd end up playing a list about 15 to 20 times, and I'd be like, okay, now I feel like this list is good or whatever. The more practice I got though, I can tell whether or not I'm gonna vibe with a list concept within like 2 to 3 games. Like I'll play 2 or 3 games and I'll be like, meh, I don't like how this list plays. Or I don't like how the core of this list plays. And a lot of it has to do... Scary just took a pain token. I know, right? Okay. Yes, my back pain, definitely carrying a faction on my back. Jedi are just space wizards. Yeah, space wizards. So, like, it takes about 3 games, but essentially, let me tell you of a time where I couldn't make something work, and I beat my head up against a wall because I wanted to make it work so badly. It was back in the Dark Technomancer days of 8/9th edition, where Coven units could basically make their weapons like get hot or something and get +1 to wound or something like that. And I was certain that an army with like 6 raiders, all with disintegrator cannons, would be the coolest thing. Because the disintegrator cannons get +1 to wound, and so you could go in and have like all of these disintegrator cannons with +1 to wound and +1 damage, I think it was. And I was like, this is going to be the coolest thing ever. And I played, oh, I kid you not, I played like 30 to 40 games. No, maybe not. No, I'm exaggerating. Maybe like 15 games. It felt like 40 games. And I played it over and over and over, and every single time. I was like, okay, go turn. And then I would do no damage. I was like, in my head, this should do damage. Why is it not working? And I just couldn't make it work. And it drove me insane to the point where I literally had like a 15-game losing streak, which is like probably one of the longest losing streaks I've had in a very long time. It's in the chat link. What chat link? It's in the chat link. I don't think you can put links in this chat, my friend. You sent me. Okay, here's the list. There you go. See, you even posted it on the thing here. Oh, what? No, I don't want that at all. Don't know why it's being so silly. Haha. There we go. Copy. There we go, Danny. We're getting it all ready. Hold on, let me just put this in here. Haha, blank. No longer blank, baby. Boom, we got a list. We got a list. Makes me happy inside. Yeah, okay. Back to it. Back to it. Excellent, excellent. 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 Let's do this. Okay, sorry. Here I am getting back on track here. It's my apologies. Where is this? Haha. Excellent. Okay. I forgot what I was saying. I was saying something about super ninjas and spies and the bird is the word. Bird is the word. Bird is the word. Yeah, okay, so I played like 15 game losing streak, and it drove me insane to the point where finally, like with great heavy heart, I was like, maybe this doesn't work. But then what came right out of that was my Phantasm grenade launcher list that I ended up playing for quite a while after that, and that list was insane. I loved that list. That list was awesome. That was the anti-Harlequin murder Harlequin list. And I love that list so much. Yeah, I'd forgotten Falls. Just blanked it out of my brain. Just joined recently. Do we talk about how we beat Knights and Death Guard to Scourge coming back? We have not talked about that yet, AJ. But it's definitely one of those things we can talk about. Like, I think Scourge are quite good in the meta right now. They've always been good. I don't think Drukhari lists change very much for the meta. You know, it's just a matter of what do you deploy versus what you don't deploy. I've learned, now normally I deploy my Scourges, but I've learned to, against Hammer, you don't need to deploy your Scourges. Like, Hammer, Death Guard? No, because they'll take +1 AP, and then those Plagueburst Crawlers with +1 AP against Scourges that are way in the back will kill all your Scourges. That just happens. They're dead. So, Old Martin, hopefully that answers your question. Like, I would say play it, but you have to be like critical about the fact that sometimes it's just not working. And either reach out to someone or talk to somebody about it or play against somebody who has like a good grasp of the game and maybe just bounce the idea off someone, and then if it's not working, hopefully they can help you identify that and be like, stop beating your head up against the wall. Because you'll usually feel it in your gut if it's like, this is working. With me, it was more like I could see it and feel it wasn't working. I just really wanted to try and make it work. And that was me sort of like just trying to prove myself wrong. And at the end of the day, I was like, okay, it's just not working. So I pulled the rug. Ugh. That's a great question. Rob asks, what's the big difference between the Court in Wager and Sky Splinter? Can you give some examples of it? They are my favorite unit. Absolutely, Rob. So, I think the biggest difference, like the damage output is about the same. You know, like in Court, in Reaper's Wager, damage output is about the same. The damage output in Reaper's Wager is a little less, right? Yes, see, the thing is, you get real ones to hit, but an Archon, which means that it's cool with the Archon. You get real ones to hit, real ones to wound without a pain token, so it makes them more efficient without a pain token. But in Sky Splinter, it really combos well with a couple of the rule dynamics. Like the rules in Sky Splinter really work well with the Court. You get out of a transport, all your ranged weapons ignore cover. So that instantly makes just everything the Court does better. Every single gun in the Court just tends to do more damage because of the fact that you're lowering a 5-up cover to a 6-up cover, a 4-up cover to a 5-up cover, right? Or a 4-up, to a 5-up. So that alone increases exponentially. Number 2 is when you charge in, you have Lance with the Court. Now, lethal hits versus Lance, like if you did a lethal hits with Strat in Reaper's Wager, one could argue, like I don't know mathematically what the actual math is, but +1 to wound tends to feel really good when you have reroll wound rolls. And of course, you already have lethal built. What the hell am I talking about? You have lethal built in with with the Lamian, which means that point that I just made was irrelevant. Which means that like Lance just makes more things go through regardless. With full rerolls to hit and full rerolls to wound. So in combat, you tend to do more damage. So in terms of damage output, like the Sky Splinter Court is just already way up here. And then you combine that with the defensive strats. Like in the Court has fights first, so it's rarely going to be using the fight on death stratagem, unless somebody sort of like charges out of combat and piles in and gets you, that sort of thing, like the anti-fights first cascading combat dynamic, where you charge one thing but pile into another thing to get around the fights first. So in Reaper's Wager, you can do like, okay, fight on death or -1 to be hit, right? Sure. The -1 to be hit is probably one of the more important ones. In Sky Splinter, though, you have the best defense, which is hide. And that alone makes it why I think, like, that's the reason I don't take my Court in Reaper's Wager, is a Court to be of effective size needs to be in a Raider. And in a Raider, in Sky Splinter, you can get out, like you can even, and then the threat range is crazy. You can fly the Raider, disembark, charge, fight, shoot stuff, have a high likelihood of killing it because of ignore cover, fight stuff, have a high likelihood of killing it because of Lance, and then use a stratagem to get back into Raider that happens to be behind wall, right? And then your opponent can't kill Court until they kill Raider and then get Court, which is a lot harder to do in practice than it is in theory if you position the Raider properly, that's probably the most important part of that whole process. When it comes to Reaper's Wager, Court either walks up the board or is in a Raider, sure, but then the Raider, once they get out of the Raider, there's no getting back into the Raider unless you use a 2 CP reactive move strat, which is like really expensive and very annoying that it's only D6 unless you're losing the wager, which is very rarely going to happen unless you have all of the Harlequins. And then once you commit it, it dies. Like the Court has -1 to be wounded, like it's got all these cool things, but it will just die. Like a grenade and a tank shock and like half the squad's dead. You know what I mean? And then all you need is a couple of little piddly las guns and they'll just fall over and die. So that's the main difference. And that's why I rate the court much higher in Sky Splinter than in Reaper's Wager. And that's my little TED talk. Brim, hey, how's it going, Brim? Can't stay for long. I have an evaluation. Thanks for being awesome. Well, thanks so much for showing up, Brim. Really, really appreciate it. Means a lot. I hope you have a good day today as well. And thanks for popping in to say hi. Brendan says, Scary, what's Drukhari's best army to pair up with a team game? It depends what you want, really. Dark Eldar are very fast and shooty and fragile, so go with something that is more tanky and maybe, I don't know, more all-roundy, just more tanky tends to something that's chunky, right? Chunky, but usually hordes do very well with elves. Like actually, we got second best generals at what was the name of that team event? The War Masters? Hey, it was a team event here in Canada. There was a doubles, and my friend Mike and I went, and he took Blood Angels, and I took Dark Eldar, and we were in second place by like 2 points. We almost got first. It's very close. Death Guard is the best buddy for Death Guard. Death Guard right now would be the best buddy for almost everything done. So maybe you just need the stinky boys, the stinky lads, and you can throw poo at people. Just throw poo. Poo! Poo! Great question. Archon Morsan. How would you go about balancing two lists to go against one another? Like if you were in charge of a boxed set. Oh, interesting. I would try and make it poo tokens. Yeah, no problem, Bren. Poo tokens. I love that you have little 3D printed poo tokens. It's so funny. This unit is now poo. It's it's a little smiley poo emoji 3D print. It's so funny. Oh dear. Little things make me laugh. So, Archon Morsan, I would first of all, like, if I was trying to balance a box set, I would definitely make it the same amount of points. I would definitely make it like a gladiatorial combat style. So I'd have two very different styles. So I'd go, like, I think the Dark Eldar Space Marine box was probably one of the best boxes that they ever did. Like for 3rd edition. But it was a very imbalanced box because the Space Marines had a land speeder and it was like 160 points plus 50 points. It was like a 200 points worth of Space Marines, right? And then you had 160 points of Dark Eldar, which is like 2 squads of 10 Dark Eldar or whatever it was. And it ended up being quite imbalanced because of the fact that like they didn't have armor and stuff. Just putting like a raider in there would have just changed the whole dynamic of that game. Just having a raider and Cablites, or like, and then having like the land speeder and the Space Marines, But I like the dynamic of like chunky Space Marines versus very squishy elves. So that is really cool. And it's kind of what I would kind of do as well. Doom! Have a coven list that looks fun on paper, but not sure if it would work in practice. The only solution to that? Play some games and find out. But that's a great question, Archon Morsan. Yeah, that's kind of how I would try and do it. Like, make it contrasting, right? So it's like interesting, to say the least. Then again, I don't run a large company like Games Workshop. Brimstone asks, hello, Mr. Scary. How are you today? I'm very well, thank you. I slept well. I'm excited for the day. Looking forward to it. Have you ever heard of the Old Guardsman Party? It's really good listening to, and I'd highly recommend it. Oh, is that like a podcast? It's about a bunch of guardsmen just trying to survive with firepower, and duct tape. Have you heard of the Old Guardsman Party? It's a really good listen to, and I'd highly recommend it. Well, I'm going to have to check it out. The Old Guardsman Party. Like, I rarely have time to listen to a lot of podcasts with all the work that I do. I would, but I will take a listen. Hey, Dr. V, thank you so much for the super chat. Holy crap. 50 US dollars. That means a lot. Thank you so much. Good luck with the channel, and I hope you all have a good day out there. Well, Dr. V, thank you so much for popping in. I really appreciate the super chat. The channel has been going strong since like 15 years ago or 13 years ago, and it's still going strong. So thank you. It's like folks like you and the patrons and the people who like, share, subscribe, leave comments. Like, the community is what makes this channel what it is. So that means the world to me. So thank you so much. And I will keep on doing this until I can't anymore. When my brain is mush and I cannot put two words together to form a sentence, that's probably when I will stop doing content. Because I love this so much. It's so much fun. So really appreciate the support. Thanks for coming to hang out, and I hope you have a fantastic day as well. It means a lot to me. Dr. V says, nice. Yeah, nice. That's right. When my teeth fall out, I'm still going to be making content, looking all scruffy. You can actually probably tell I've got more gray hairs as time goes. You know, slowly becoming a silver fox. You're the true Archon here, Dr. V. That's right. Ah, the Don Cherry exit. That's right. Oh, well, maybe not with all the commentary. But yeah, when I'm old and, maybe I just need to get some fancy ties and suits, kind of step up my game. Brimstone says, have you ever, yeah, so I'll have to check that. Brimstone, thank you so much for the comment. I'll check them out at some point as well. Danielle asks, good morning, Scary. Good morning to you as well. So my question today is, when you build your 2,000 point list for tournaments, how do you balance your list to handle whatever is thrown against you? That is a question that I could do an entire hour and a half to 2 hour show on. Just that question alone. How do you make a balanced list? Well, let me tell you. In the time that we have today, a couple of things I could probably explain. I will have to give credit to my dad. Father, if you're listening, this is for you. So, I taught my dad how to play Warhammer. My brother and I taught my dad how to play Warhammer in like 4th edition. And he absolutely loved making balanced lists. So my dad is like has a doctorate in astronomy, and is also like an engineer, mathematician, right? / teacher. He's retiring this weekend, by the way. And he, back in the day, and if anybody's been following any of the mini wargaming videos, there was something called a force organization chart. And the force organization chart was you had to build your list to fit within this detachment. Like, it was the original sort of like detachment. And it was 1 HQ minimum, but you could have up to 2 HQs. You had 3 of each elite, fast attack, heavy support, and then you could have up to 6 troop choices. And so, best in slot reviews. Thanks, Nurgle Matthew. Really appreciate it. Coach's Corner was hilarious. Yeah, there was it was always fun. It was always fun. Okay, so anyway, I'm getting off track here. Yes, so the thing about that is that in the Rogue Trader tournaments, like this is back before, man, this is like most of you probably weren't even born, children. Like, there was this thing where you had composition. So when you went to a tournament, if you spent too many points on war gear and upgrades, you got penalized. If you had too few points in troops, you got penalized. But if you had too many points in troops, you got penalized. So you had to build a list that was sort of balanced and had like some troops, HQs, like a little bit of everything. Like you kind of like were combined. So most competitive players didn't care and they just kind of took the good stuff and that was it. However, my dad took that whole balanced approach to heart. I'm gonna really want to draw 6 drop pods. Oh, I know, drop pods are so cool. Shakes fist at the clouds. Kids these days. That's so true. Them damn kids. Damn kids. Oh man, it was so he developed this thing where called the Law of Nines. Now, I've written an article on the Law of Nines multiple times over the years, adapting the Law of Nines to many editions. Now, as soon as they kind of got rid of force organization in general and detachments in general, sort of shifted it a little bit where it doesn't really fit too well within the game dynamics anymore, but the mentality of it has remained the same for me forever. Now, the Law of Nines is essentially, at its core, it's sort of like a point allocation system where you divide the total number of points in the game by 9. So in 2,000 points, you have 222 point ninths and then like point sums or whatever. Now, the whole point of this was to make sure that when you built a list, so for 1,500 points, it's 166 points, point whatever. When you built it into this force organization chart, it encouraged you to use your points to make a balanced list, which my dad proved over and over again, made some stupidly good lists where we'd show up and be like, this is my Space Marine and a Rhino and a Captain and this and that. And he'd be like, this is my Guard Army. And you'd look at it and go, how did you fit so much crap in your list? And then he'd just proceed to table you. And my dad had so much fun. Like he'd spend a week building a list because that Law of Nines had to be to a T. And so he'd spend a week building the list that he'd play on the weekend. And we'd play one game, he'd win, he'd be like, yes, list successful. I was like, okay. But I took a lot of inspiration from that. So you'd spend 1/9 in each of the HQ, elite, fast attack, and heavy support slots. So that's 4/9 there. And you'd spend at least 4/9 on HQs. I mean, on troops. So 4/9 on troops to give you a good core of, and in this case, battle line, right? Or things that score you points or whatever. And then 1 of each 9th on the other stuff. Now, that means, if you're doing math, there's 1/9 remaining. And that 9th would be your theme 9th, right? So as a guard player, he would tend to put that 9th, that like floating 9th, into heavy support, because then he could have like 2 Leman Russes or like a Basilisk and a Leman Russ or whatever he was running at the time. So he'd double up on heavy support. Like me as a Space Marine player, I ended up using that extra 9th in elites because I usually ran like a Terminator squad or something like that. And over time, what I found is after my dad sort of like really broke this Law of Ninth down, it took him like a long time to develop it. And then once he got it, he's like, yeah, I found it. I found the perfect way of making a list that gives you enough points to do stuff with and play the missions and all this stuff. And 9 pieces of 8 from Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know. Maybe my dad had a thing with pirates. But it was... So what I ended up doing is like, you know, I went back because I was a big tournament player back in the day with my Black Templars. And I went back and I broke down all of the army lists that I had had success with at tournaments. And I found that they loosely were fitting into this Law of Ninths thing before it was even like, and I didn't even know what I was doing, but I had instinctively made lists that sort of fit into this framework. And I'd already kind of done well at events. I'd won events with these lists. And that's when I was like, oh, there's something here. So from then on, every time I want to build a balanced list, I tend to look at it that way. I go, okay, how many points? 220 points. So I try not to spend too many points in characters. I try not to spend too many points in fast attacks or elites or heavy supports. Like, I don't put too many points. So when I'm looking at lists and I'm like, oh, you have like 800 points in 3 characters, I don't like that. And it's mainly because those points could be spent elsewhere on stuff that's going to win you games. Now, of course, with the dynamic of the meta, it's a little different nowadays. But something that of course, like you look at my current like Reaper's Wager Dark Outlaw list, I'm like 600 points in HQs. However, in characters or whatever. However, like 240 points of those are Beast Pack, which is more like a fast attack slot for me, and it's just a lot of wounds. So it's not the same nowadays, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is why I run 9 Demon Engines for less than 900 points. Done. That is a travesty. The fact that Death Guard can do that is insane. You do know that's insane, right, Don? They are, as Mark says, criminally underpriced. You know? Anyway, moving on. Daniel, that was a fantastic question. Now, whenever I don't know what I'm doing with a faction, like somebody wants to practice a game, or they're testing something, or I go to like mini wargaming and they're like, you get to play, Kroot today, right? And I look at it and go, what the hell did Kroot do? Right? I'm quickly flipping through their codex or whatever, being like, what the hell does everything do? I will try and build a list that fits as best I can into the Law of Nines. Why? Because I want to have a little bit of everything, and I want to make sure that I give my opponent a good game without sort of over-investing on points. However, now that I've been playing a lot of 4th edition, it's nice to go back to this when I'm building lists and be like, ooh, I get to make the cool list that I used to, right? I don't know, spamming 20 Haywire guns between Scourge and Talus against Tal seems pretty good. Well, that Cheese Bolt, that's the thing. You can be a lot more creative now than you were before. But this is the foundation that I have used for over a decade, right? Almost 2 decades to build lists. 2 decades. And so far, it's been working fine. And that mentality has stayed with me. When I try and build lists, I try and build them a little balanced with a little bit of everything. And so my lists don't outwardly look very damaging, right? And then you play into them and they will mess you up because you don't see the strength until it hits you, right? Does it apply to 1-point games? It absolutely does. You apply the Law of Nines to 1,000 points. So you divide that 1,000 points into 9 sections of what? 9 sections of 90 points or whatever it is. Or 99 points, or I don't know, whatever, 93 points, and then you just try and make sure it all fits within that 93 points, which means you have to learn how to make sacrifices. You don't take the 200-point character if you can only spend 90 points on characters. You take the cheap character, right? And you make it work. The whole point is making it work and making it fit within those point parameters. And then the second part of making a balanced list is Knight players are scratching their heads right now. Sure, but like if you're playing 1,500 points and you want to play Knights, then one big Knight is what, like 300 and some points? So that could be your heavy support allotment, taking an allied Knight. And then the rest of your army could be something else. You know what I mean? Whatever. Like you could split it up. Be like, well, these Warglaves count as fast attack Warglaves. This Warglaive counts as my elite Warglaive. This big Knight is going to count as my HQ. And some of my heavy support. Like you could make it like in your head, right? Need a Father Archon model holding some scales. Is it balanced? And then the other thing that I learned is redundancy in a list does not mean copy paste. I'll leave that there. AKA, just because I don't have 10 last cannons in my list doesn't mean I don't have 10 anti-tank weapons in my list. Right? Some food for thought. Okay. Okay, so we've got... Moving on to the next part of the show is the list crunch. Now, the list crunch, if you're a Trueborn, a Scourge, a Incubi level patron, you can submit an army list every time I do the show, and I will read the list and give you some food for thought. I spend a couple of minutes on each list. It's like a little list clinic, and it's one of the perks for the patrons as a thank you for supporting. As well, we've got the Discord, which is free to join for anybody who wants to join the Discord. And you can find all the links to that stuff on the Patreon page. But that is the best way to support the channel if you'd like to help me continue to do what I do from now into posterity as well. That's what I'm struggling with my Tyranids at the moment. Yes. Yeah, balanced stuff. Absolutely. It's but I would take for like 800 points in battle line if I was Tyranids. I'd take Termagant, like, and then just a couple of different monsters, and my list would be very, very good. I'm telling you. Okay. List crunch. Hunter. Yeah, let's go. Trying to get some opinions on this Dark Angels list. I also have no clue which detachment to put it in. Well, I really, really, really like the new Dark Angels detachment. I think that detachment is quite good. So I would definitely take a look at that new detachment. I think it kind of does the whole like Dark Angel thing very, very well. So I would highly recommend it. So right now you've run it in Inner Circle, which is fine. You know, Gladius. So Gladius, Stormlance, and like the new Dark Angel detachment seem to be some very good ones you can run Dark Angels in. Wrath of the Rock is great, says Troy. Yeah, there you go. See, Wrath of the Rock, I think, is the name. There you go. So, Azrael, the Lion. I really like the new Lion. Like, he went down in points. He has same turn, uppy, downy, so you can bounce around the board. A couple of Judiciaries. See, so here, for example, if we're looking at, say, balanced list, you've got 430 points in 2 characters, and then you're adding another 70. So you're adding, it's like 580 points, 600 points in 4 models. I don't like that. Now, the Lion is a big, chunky lad, fine, but I don't think you need the 2 Judicious. Or I would make, I think you can get away with maybe one of these. Deathwing Knights, Deathwing Knights, Deathwing Knights. The 750 points in 15 models. I personally think that 2 units of Deathwing Knights are great, but 15 is good. Like that, you're just committing at that point. 2 units of Inner Circle Companions. Holy moly, you're like making an elite army elite, like elite. 1 Repulsor Executioner, 1 Impulsor, and an Impulsor. So the biggest issue you have with this list is you have nothing that plays the mission at all. You have no trash units. So it's cool for a theme, but just understand you don't have any trash. You need to... Every army needs a little bit of trash to do missions with. Now, good trash for Space Marines, Jump Pack Intercessors, I would never make a Space Marine list without a unit of Infiltrators, like ever. I think Infiltrators in the current meta are incredibly important. Ballistas Dreadnoughts are very good. You need some shooting, like the Repulsor Executioner is good, but it's one of them. He's very cheap for what he does, sure, but like I feel like I would like to see some more ranged threats, Vindicators, Ballistas Dreadnoughts, Lancers. Like, this list kind of runs at your opponent, but if your opponent just literally puts a line of 20 Gaunts in front of you and then does it again, or Gargoyles or whatever, just like Cultist or Zangors or something cheap, like your list is just doing nothing all game. If you bubbled in I-12, how do you not? I have the jealousy. I know, like Imperial, like you can literally put a Deep Strike Denial bubble in any Imperial list with the Navigator. You just get a Navigator and put a 12-inch Denial bubble in any single Imperial list with agents of the Imperium. The fact that Space Marines have Infiltrators, I don't know how you can make a list without Infiltrators, is competitively speaking. Now, theme, you get 100 out of 100 for the theme. It's punchy, run-up, murder stuff. I would definitely run it with Wrath of the Rock, or because you are running a whole bunch of infantry that fights, either Stormlance for advance and charge, or Gladius, so you can at least do once per game advance and charge, but put advance and charge on anything for a CP. Do the I don't think you need the Judiciary. Like, Azrael goes with 1 unit of Inner Circle Companions. The Judiciary goes with 2nd, and you should honestly, I would probably put in like a Scout unit. Like, that would be the simplest change. A Scout unit for some like infiltrate, Scout slash to just create some space on the board. Because if you play into Death Guard, they'll put like Poxwalkers in the middle of the board, and if they go first, they just move the Poxwalkers up and jail you in your zone, and that would be so frustrating. I would hate that. I've learned that I have to salute my Mandrakes when I play Death Guard, and I'm like, salute the Mandrakes! And I go, I'm going to deploy Mandrakes right here. And 5 of them die if I go 2nd. And that's just how that is. It's just how but I need to be able to scout into the middle of the board with my beast packs. But I hope that answers your question. So that would be my opinions, Hunter, on the list itself. It is like, because it's so skew, I would pick a detachment that fits into that skew better, like Stormlance or Gladius. And then if, like, to be honest, the way I would make the list would be to take out a unit of Deathwing Knights, take out a unit of Inner Circle Companions, take out a Judiciary, and then, like, basically use those points to add in stuff that helps me play the mission, so I can have, like, Intercessors and Jump Pack Intercessors and Infiltrators and a Lone Up Lieutenant and things like that, go and do mission stuff while while the rest of the list goes and tries to punch stuff. You know what I mean? I would love some 12-inch denial. Absolutely. 12-inch denial, but like, if I, with Dark Eldar, could have something that denies 12-inch Deep Strike, I would take that every single freaking time. If I could screen a 12-inch, a 24-inch bubble. If you haven't seen me screen, screening is my jam. I was playing against Will, one of my Incubi patrons, yesterday. We were doing like a coaching match. And I was playing against his Tau. And I basically was throwing trash away. And he was looking at me. I'm like, I might be able to put my breaches in over here. And I'm like, I'm going to screen like all the turns. He's like, but you're running out of stuff. I'm like, I could screen with 2 models and hope, right? Screening is one of the most important things you can do in Warhammer. Keep your opponent in front of you. Stop leaving giant gaps in your backfield. So, like, your games will change drastically. Then you up it to learning how to screen out rapid ingresses to make sure the rapid ingresses don't screw you. Anyway, there's layers to this. Layers. Moving on. Dr. Nick. I've got my first RTT with my Drukhari on the 20th. Nice, in like a week or so. Very exciting. I will play Sky Splinter Assault. And after much iterations, I'm planning on going with the list below. I'm not battle ready, but hoping to put in a decent first showing with the Dark Kin. Okay, so not battle ready, but hopefully you can work a little bit at it. I do have a soft spot for Sky Splinter Assault. I still think it is very good. I've done the pivot to Reaper's Wager heavily because of the strats in the current meta. I think the strats, like Ignore Overwatch, is one of the best stratagems to have access to right now. Advanced Shoot and Charge is fine, but honestly, the Ignore Overwatch has been the best thing ever, especially being that the Haywire Scourge stonks have gone way up, and keeping them alive at full strength has been so cool. I love the fact that I can just walk up to a big, like, jump in front of a Reaper, like a Gladiator Reaper, and be like, can't touch this, and then just blow it to smithereens, whereas before, the Gladiator Reaper would just Overwatch my unit of Scourge to death. And the only thing I had was like to put a Warlord Archon nearby to be like, pay 2 CP to kill my Scourge, please. Anyway. Dr. Nick. So, 2 Archons, one with a Night Shroud, one with killing stuff on objectives, I'm assuming. 2 Beast Packs. Yep, Lilith Urian. Good. Not going to say that's bad. Cabalites, 2 units of Rax, 1 unit of Witches. Good. 1 Raider, 3 Venoms, 1 for Lilith, 1 for Incubi, probably Deep Striking, and 1 for Leftover Cabs for Sticky. Yep, that's standard. I think somebody on Reddit actually posted this, like, how many transports should I use in my Sky Splinter? I was like, 4. 3 to 4. you take 1 Raider, 2 to 3 Venoms, or 2 Raiders and 2 Venoms, right? I prefer the 1 Raider, 3 Venoms. Why? So you can hide stuff. Everybody looked at my list and was like, oh, there's not enough dedicated transports. But then you go to a table that's wide open. I can hide my army. You can't hide your army. So I much prefer having less transports, but being able to hide my whole army versus you having to be like, oh, I guess I'll deploy in the open then and hope to go first. You know, a Court, Kronos, unit of Incubi, 2 units Mandrix, Ravager, nice, Haywire, Scourge, Void Raven Bomber. So the Ravager, nice choice instead of the Darklon Scourge. I can see how that would change. Personally, I would probably try fit in the Darklon Scourge before I put in another Ravager. But because the points are so tight, I could see you just having to use a Ravager. Other than that, love the list. Gets my seal of approval. I would play this list. And it has a Void Raven Bomber. Chef's kiss. There's also a very fun list that I want to play before the end of the season, which is 2 Void Raven Bombers, 2 Razorwing Jet Fighters, 2 Ravagers, 2 units of Scourge, 2 Beast Packs, and then a bunch of Cavalites and Venoms. And I feel like that would be so fun to play in Reaper's Wager. Just letting you know that I'm going to try it. It's going to be all planes all the time. It's going to be so fun. I'm going to take it to an event, and it's going to be silly. And I'm going to have a blast playing it. Okay, moving on. Zinth says, list I'm looking to take to my first RTT. That's amazing. I love that you're going to your first RTT, Zinth. Now, it's one of those things where a lot of people send me messages and say, hey, Scary, what would you recommend to go to my first event? I'm like, the first thing you need to do is go to your first event. You need to buy a ticket and just go. That is the first step. Only unit I'm definitely waffling on is the 10 Possessed with a Chaos versus a Chaos Lord plus Legionary package and a second squad of Cultists for more uppy downy sticky. Looking for your opinions. Yeah, so Shadow Legion, excellent. I'll tell you. So the Scouting Possessed, very powerful, right? Because I guess you can scout them. Is that right? Or is it the Scouting? Because you can do AC/DC bricks. Like the Accursed Cultist. People have been using the Accursed Cultist Possessed. Scouting Accursed Cultists and Shadow Legion. My instinct always goes to more mission play stuff. I love the Lord. The Lord himself, I think, is very good because he makes a stratagem free. So he can do the uppy downy for free, basically, because you have him, right? I think that's one of the keys to taking a Chaos Lord in Shadow Legion, to be very command point efficient. But yeah, Be'lakor. You've got the Fade Thirster, one of the coolest, most annoying units, and a Great Unclean one with a Mantle of Gloom. I don't know what that does, actually. So I'm going to check that out because I would like to know. Normally I see the big, the Great Unclean one with the Scout upgrade, the Roly-Poly Guo. The Roly-Poly Guo is still one of the coolest things ever. Oh, it's so funny. I love the Roly-Poly Guo. He's absolutely hilarious. Index Chaos Demons, Shadow Legion enhancements, Mantle of Gloom. While within engagement range, -1 OC. Okay, so it's a -1 OC within engagement range. So neat if you're trying to like stop people from taking your objectives away. That's like, it's 20 points. Personally, I don't think it's worth it because usually you just want to kill stuff on objectives. Like if you wanted the OC modification, instead of the Guo, you would take Rodigus, right? And then Rodigus himself has the 6-inch bubble of -1 OC, which I think is just better for what you're trying to achieve than this. He might be a little more expensive, I think, maybe. But I feel like that would probably work better for what you're trying to do. You just had the exact points left. Okay, makes sense. I've also liked having Deep Striking Possessed unit, but miss having a Chaos Lord for sure. Yeah, so I would personally go for the Chaos Lord Zinth, because I love that second unit of Cultists. Like, other unit of Cultists I think is great. Can't take Rodigus in the detachment. Oh, interesting. So only Be'lakor. Okay, so fair enough. So you get, it's like a dollar store Be'lakor. You know, like a budget Be'lakor. I mean, a budget Rodigus. Okay, sure. As a budget Rotigus, because you can't take him, yeah, makes sense. Like, it'd be good against, like, oh, those 2OC or 1OC or whatever. Into some stuff would be really useful. Big ACDC brick, Cultist mob with the Dark Commune, yeah. The Legionnaires with these Sleeping Shadows, yeah. The Scouting ACDC is just excellent. Legionnaires, 10 Possessed, and Raptors. Raptors. So I think you could also. So I would probably drop Legionnaires 1 unit. I don't think you need 1 with the Lord. You definitely take the second Cultist mob, right? I don't think you need the Possessed because you have enough stuff in the. You are missing a couple of mission units. Raptors are okay, but I prefer Warp Talons. If you can pay for 5 Warp Talons, having the combination Fate Thirster Warp Talons, I think, is very, very powerful. And then the only thing I would like to see, I don't think you need a big brick of 6 Nurglings. I think you can get away with 3 for just putting them in the middle. Things I'd like to see. Cornhounds, because Uppy Downy for free is very powerful. And you just need a couple more trash units that are fast. So I would recommend trying to fit in 1 or 2 units of 3 Screamers that can just fly super fast, screen out, and do like actions in the mid board without having to sacrifice like a Great Unclean One or something big to get into the middle. That rule of 9 was very interesting. I'll have to put into practice in my Imperial Guard army. Yeah, Mad Larkin, like that, like the rule of 9, we'll go back to that for a second, is excellent, right? And it is very, very good. And it makes, so when you take like a dedicated transport, if it's for a unit that's in one of the categories, the points for the transport kind of count towards that. So if you take like a Rhino for a unit of Legionnaires, so like the Legionnaires plus the Rhino would count as like the troop selection, etc., right? Raptors are actually super good in Shadow. Okay, good. They force battle shocks -1. Okay, so they basically help the battle shock mechanics. Okay, that's neat. Definitely happy to slam some dogs in. Just have to build them. Yeah, like the dogs. I think the dogs for Uppy Downy without having to use a strat, very, very useful. Screamers in there to like. I like the Raptors. I get it why you're taking them, so that's a good piece of tech. But you have points to kind of play with. You've got the Mantle of Gloom, which you don't really need. The Nurglings, you've got some points there. I like the Accursed Cultist brick. That's a hammer, right? You got Hammer Accursed Cultist, which is also a jail unit. You've got, if you put the Chaos Lord with the Legionnaires, that's a secondary hammer unit that you can throw in and kill something like once per game. They go into something on an objective, reroll, like all wound rolls. They punch really hard. He goes Super Saiyan. So that works really well. The Fate Thirster is great. And then you got Bellacore. So you've got some good hammer units. What you need is more like little trash units that can screen. So second unit of cultists, uppy, downy, sticky, like rapid ingress, sticky, that sort of stuff helps really nicely. The dogs give you some uppy, downy that doesn't require stratagems. And then a couple of screamer units because they're fast, they go through walls, right? So they can get that area denial early on. Oh, well, I guess Nurglings could do that too, but like they can fly up and get you recover assets or try start a sabotage or just move block a unit or get into a position so a knight can't move through a wall. It just gives you something that has speed to play and react to the game. And I think that would be very, very useful. Yeah. But other than that, I like the list. The concept looks good, but have fun. Go play games at your RTT, 3 games, meet people, roll some dice, and just enjoy it. You know what I mean? Just have fun with it as well. Moving on. Potatogram. Hey, Scary. Hello, Potatogram. I would love your opinion on my list for the first top cut game in my local league. Though, with the points changes, it made sense to try out Canis. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. The Vanguard units are equipped with plasma. The Ranger unit has a big sniper. Ran out of word count. Yeah, no problem. I would make sure that my Vanguard units each have the plasma, the arc rifle, and the sniper, and I'd make sure my Ranger units have the arc rifle, the sniper, and the plasma. Like, I would make sure that every single one of my troops in Adeptus Mechanicus had all of its upgraded units as well. This is why I love List Crunch. Well, thank you, Zinth. As always, List Crunch is a fantastic part of a competitive diet. Nom, 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 right? It's just how it works. And of course, with the new FAQs and stuff, there's a whole bunch of things that are going to be changing with, they've, modified a few things, made things a little different, which is nice as well. So, so I know you and I, Potato, talked about this on our coaching call. So I'll kind of go through it, I'll go through it briefly because we did kind of discuss this. But you've got your Marshal, and 2 Technos. So 12-inch denial bubble, 12-inch denial bubble, and then Marshal with shoot and scoot. Now, the shoot and scoot, though, very useful with the current FAQ because you can actually move that unit further out than you would have to be able to before. And now you only need to get 1 model within 3 of the transport to get the whole unit back within the transport, which makes the whole shoot and scoot get back into your Dune Rider like way easier than it used to be. Oh my god. Oh, that pain. I don't know what it is, but that's more like right in my abdomen. Oh. Maybe I slept wrong. Maybe like my back's like all fudged. I don't know. It's like I hit a nerve. Like it's on a nerve. Fucking hurts. Oh, there, I just got demonetized. Ow. Okay. Rangers, Vanguard. Good. I like it. I like the 4 units Vanguard. I think you'll need the 2 because you only have the two Marshals. The 95 points could be like another unit of Skitarii Skystalkers or whatever, which I think is really good. A Dune Rider, I would take a second Dune Rider. See, that's the switch I would make. I'd take a second Dune Rider. But I like it. Like we talked about, having lots of troops is good. Ballistari, 2 units of Ballistari with last cannons. They're so cheap for 140 points for like sustained hits last cannons. Like, they're not bad for what you get. Skystalkers, and Sterilizers. They're awesome. I love those units so much. 1 unit of Raiders, nice. Get a little scout unit up and stuff. 1 unit of Ruststalkers. Now, you don't have Infiltrators. I personally really, really love Infiltrators. And you're running 2 Disseys and Canis. Now, if you're an Imperial player and you're not running Canis, you're missing out. Canis, right now, at 380 points, is one of the cheapest, punchy, shooty, most insane units you'll ever get. Free strat, crits on 5s, like, stupid good shooting, decent close combat. He's just good. So, if you could squeeze Canis into your Imperial list in any iteration, I think that would be very useful for you. The pain keeps happening. Consider getting just checked out. There's a lot of stuff our bodies interpret as just random back, chest, stomach pain. Maybe I do need to get it checked out. It's like, but it's not common. It's just happened like right now today. It's not normal. This is not normal. That's why it's weird. It's like, oh, this is weird. Canis, Navigator, Calidus. How to start every Imperial list. Look, Canis, Rex, a Navigator, sure, if you don't have 12-inch denial bubble. Like in this case, 2 Techno Archaeologists are the same cost as 1 Navigator, so you take 2 Techno Archaeologists, of course, because they're the same as 1 Navigator, right? Like that's just common sense to me, I think. Which is how I would do that. Oh my goodness gracious, here I am. I clicked on buttons and now I can't see. I should actually set up the second. Oh my goodness, stop pressing that silly thing, please and thank you. I don't need that one. I need this one. No, not that one. Oh my gosh, there we go. And then I need this one, and then I need this one, and then I need this one. Okay, perfect. That's what I would do. By the way, thanks a lot for coming to hang out. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm Skari. I do competitive 40k coaching. I do content, mainly for Dark Eldar, but I have been playing the game for 30 years. A lot of 28 years. I've been playing for a very long time. Okay, so stick around, kids, because you're going to learn something. And if there's a motto for my channel, it's play the game intelligently and play your game and learn and actually practice things and test things and be creative. Stop listening to internet pundits like myself. Don't listen to me. Try out your own shit. But if you get inspired, let me know. Skari, how do I sign up for coaching? Well done. I have 3 ways you can coach with me. I am one of the coaches on the Art of War. So if you like the Art of War and want access to the war room and all that stuff, you can do the coaching through the Art of War. The second way is through my Patreon. I have two main coaching tiers. I've got the Trueborn tier, which is a coaching light. You get like a monthly call, access to all this cool stuff like list crunch and whatnot that we do, access to me on Discord so you can like chat with me and ask me questions, etc. And then you have the Incubi level on the Patreon, which is the full coaching tier, and that's a weekly call, as well as all the added perks and bonuses. And I also get to make your effigy in caricature as an incubi for my retinue, or as Cosmic did, as an incubi getting murdered by a wraith. Yeah, and that's from Hombre Radioactivo, which is awesome. So thanks for asking, Don. Remember to watch your feet. Remember to watch your feet. Scary's dropping some knowledge. Yeah, that's right. Trying my best. Now, of course, if you don't want to get coaching, we want to help the channel out, just share the video. Just be like, hey, watch this. It's kind of cool. Okay, moving on, because we've already lost like 10 people from me promoting myself. Come on, folks. If you can't stick around for that, do you even really want to be here? Really? Is this what the world has come to? Where as soon as I say, hey, help me out, you're like, psh, lame. Moving on. I like your list. I personally would like to see some infiltrators in there so that you can maximize on your scouts. Infiltrators are very good. Canis is a good choice. And I like that you're running the sterilizers and the skystalkers. Like you've got 2 units of sterilizers and 1 of skystalkers. I didn't have any sterilizers when I played the AdMech in my local league. I would have loved to have sterilizers though, because they are very, very good. I think there's too many of these for what you need. I don't think you need this many. I think 2 and 1, a second Dune Rider, and then you have a lot more shooting than I did, but you still have a lot of little play pieces. So your list is very strong. It's just, I like it because AdMech is one of those lists that you don't see coming until it hits you, and you're like, what the hell just happened, right? And Canis is like the cherry on top to be just something that punches and shoots and is just really good at like just being that move blocker right in the middle. Be like, now you have to deal with Canis. Just be careful with Haywire, because Haywire will just nuke Canis like in 30 seconds. Moving on, Archon Morsan also posted a list today. 1,000 point Inari list. Nice. I guess this is for doubles. Plan is to put the Autarch with the Banshees, Ivrain in a gunboat, Venom, Screen with the Rangers, Shroud Runners, and 5 Cabalite rifles. Primary objective to be held with Sticky from Cabalites and Strat. Is the Blast Pistol and the Saberite worth it? Yes. The Blast Pistol is worth it. I have found great use out of that Blast Pistol. So Ivrain, an Autarch, Cabalites, so 2 units of 10 Cabalites, so big on the Cabalites. Rangers, Dark Reapers, Banshees, Shroud Runners, a Reaver, and then 3 Venoms. So I personally would like to see like a Warwalker in this list. I think a Warwalker would be very good because it would combo really nicely with the Shroud Runners to do Ignore Cover plus 1 AP. And then what it does is it will supercharge the Venoms and the guns inside. Now that means I think you only need 2 Venoms, because you do each Venom splits the Cabalites, and then you have Venom with Cabs with guns, Venom with Cabs with guns, and then you have 2 units of just 5 Cabalites as trash, and those can go and sticky your home, strategic reserve to come in and do stuff. But if you can find the points, by probably, I don't know, I don't think dropping the Rangers is a good idea. I like having the Infiltrate on there, but finding the points somehow, maybe dropping the Reavers to get the Warwalker in there with the Venom. So Venom and Reavers become a Warwalker. Then you get access to 2 Bright Lances, access to extra AP, which then combos with the Shroud Runners for Ignore Cover, extra AP, and then you have 2 Gunboat Venoms, which basically have Ignore Cover, AP2 on basically all their guns, if it works that way. I think that's how that works, unless it only does the extra AP for Azuriani units, which would make me very sad, but I'm going to check that right now before I start continuing to talk. But like, that's the kind of combo that I would absolutely love. Like, if I had that ability to strip cover extra AP, like, my Ravagers would have Disintegrators because I would absolutely love those combos, right? Like, I would absolutely love that combo. Let's see. War Walker, where are you? There's so many W's. Why are there so many W's in here? Abilities. Yeah, so friendly Eldari unit, which is literally everything has the Eldari keyword, I would assume. Can you take Ravagers in RE? Oh, you can't take Ravagers? Ah, boo. See, if you could take Ravagers, I would take that in a heartbeat. Anyway, just some food for thought, right? And yes, I would definitely put the pistols on the Saberites. And the Autarch with the Fusion Glaive and the Banshees is great. Nice little punchy unit, works well. Another option is an uh, Archon to go with the second unit of Cabalites to give you the free grenade, right? So free strat, just free grenade all the time. I guess the Autarch could do that too, technically. Yep, that's my food for thought. Archon Warsan, thank you for posting your list. Moving on, Danny Cod. There we go. I'm glad we got your list as well. Maybe I need a cube to roll all the dice, aka lots and lots of dice. Now you've been playing around with the Jet Bike Eldar list for a long time, and we did talk about it last list crunch. And I was like, we'll consolidate some of the units and make them like a little bit better. So let's see how you've sort of adapted that. So Eldrad and Lycus. Nice. Look at this. 230 points worth of HQs for 2,000 points. That's almost perfect. I love it. Wind Riders. Big unit of 6 with shuriken cannons. Big unit of 6 with shuriken cannons. Big unit of 6 with scatters. Big unit of 6 with shuriken cannons. I love this. If anything, you could probably split one unit of cannons into 2 3s, but I love that it's more consolidated into big, meaty Wind Rider units because the damage output will be much better, like, hit. Rangers, Swooping Hawks, a big 10 strong brick. Ooh, 2 units of 10. Oh my gosh, that is insane. Warwalker, good for the AP. Skyrunner, Skyrunner, Skyrunner for the ignore cover. Very good. Warp Spiders, good. And then a Wraith Knight with a Ghost Slave, just as a big distraction Carnifex. Big OC 10 distraction Carnifex. The Warp Spiders are good. You know, it's always good to have them. You don't even need to have Lycus in it. You can have Lycus by themselves, so you can take advantage of the 5-up critical hits or whatever, and then the Warp Spiders can go off to do their own thing. The Skyrunners are good. You got a little unit of Rangers for some infiltrate, and then the big bricks of Swooping Hawks. Sure. I don't think you need the big bricks of Swooping Hawks. I think you could get away with 2 units of 5 and then spend the points elsewhere on like striking scorpions, or in this case, maybe I don't know. Like, I feel like getting a unit of Storm Guardians for Eldrad would be good. But the list itself feels a lot more concise, and you roll a lot of dice. So now's the time where you go, okay, you've consolidated. Now is to play games. Now you need to play games with this list. Play lots and lots of games and see if this works, right? Because you've got about 300 points here to play around with. Everything else I like. This is the only place where I'd be like, can these points be spent better elsewhere? Fire Dragons, Striking Scorpions, Dark Reapers, like there's a lot of, the 2 Swooping Hawk units are very, very like where I would look for the points. But Danny, thanks for making sure that list was posted in. So I appreciate that. I know that was a quick rapid fire, but we did go over that list, and I like the changes you made. Valaruko, brand new patron. Thank you so much. First time participating in the list crunch. Welcome. Let's take a look at your list. So this is a tournament Eldari Wind Rider host list. So Wind Rider again, neat. So as you can see above, like that's the kind of thing that I've been looking at. So let's take a look at yours. You got your Autarch, Lycus. So no Eldrad. I do like Eldrad for the +1 to wound, but you're keeping the troops cheap. I mean the HQ cheap, which is very good because with Elves it's very easy to spend way too many points on very fragile characters. Storm Guardians, excellent. 3 bricks of 6 and 2 bricks of 3, which is exactly what I said up top. So I like that. Good combination. One scatter laser at least, hopefully. Banshees, 2 units of Shining Spears. Now, we have talked about these ad nauseum. I like them, but they're hard to hide. So, can you hide 2 units of 3 with their giant bases on the tables that you're playing? That's the only consideration I would take when thinking of Shining Spears. Where are you going to put them? Shroud Runners, 2 units. I only think you need 1 unit. Striking Scorpions, excellent. 2 Warwalkers, they're good. You could get away with 1. Sky Runners give ignore cover anyway, so that's why the Shroud Runners aren't necessarily needed. And then a couple of Warp Spider units. This is a refined version of the last list I admitted. Okay, so the second time. After making the recommendations you made, taking it to 2 tournaments. Oh my gosh. So, not only did you make the changes, you also took it to 2 events, and now you've come with this. Well, number 1, I love the doubles of things. I think we talked about the Shining Spears, which is why I was like, we talked about them. So it seems like they made the cut, which is excellent. I would like to know what these are armed with and like sort of like what you're changing with that. And of course, the Ortalk with the Banshees is a good counterpunch unit. It seems like you're very comfortable with this list. Now, it seems like it's also 2,000 points on the nose, which makes it amazing. And the only thing I would try to do is Eldrad worth it? You know, but what would you take out for Eldrad? Would you take out a Shroud Runner and a Woolwalker and then put in like a unit of Rangers, maybe? Like that's kind of where my head would go. But I would love to see the +1 to wound from Eldrad in there as well. But it seems like the list itself, just on its head, looks a lot more focused. I like the Storm Guardians, which is what I recommended for Daniels over here. I like the composition of the Wind Riders, which is actually what I recommend for Daniel up there. And then this here, like he's taking the Wraith Knight more as a distraction card effects, but you've taken more units, right? So you have like more little stuff to play the game with, double Warp Spider, double Walker, double Shining Spear, like all this extra play stuff, which is more my style. But some people do like having that big hammer that can just like walk into the open, be like, I have a 4-up invul. What are you going to do about it? And I've got 10 OC, so I can actually play primary, right? But then again, you also have the Storm Guardians, which kind of help with that. But let me know, like, how many games have you played? I'm curious. For the next one, I'd like to know how it's been going. If you'd like to make a note of it or tag me on the Discord, because I'd like to know more about how you're doing. Because Wind Rider Host hits really hard, but it's not easy to play because they die very fast. So how can you combine the two to make it excellent? You will find out. And last but not least, we have Brimstone and his list. Says, hello, Mr. Scary. This is my Imperial Guard list. I like this list. I feel it's pretty well balanced. Any advice on what I can remove and add? I'd appreciate it. Absolutely, Mr. Brimstone. Let's dive in. Bit of a departure from the orcs, I see, but I love Astra Militarm. This classic guardsman, t-shirts with guts and a flashlight, right? Take care, Scary. Have a good day. Gotta go. No problem, Brendan. Thank you so much for hanging out. We're going to be finishing up in a few minutes. So if you have any other things or questions you'd like to put in the chat, make sure you put them in the chat now so I don't miss them. And of course, if you've watched to the end on the replay, thank you so much for watching, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are of the new FAQ and the future of competitive 40k. So your list includes command squad, so Tempestus command squads, a Rogel Dog commander, good amount of HQs. I think that's great. Yeah, I don't think that's bad at all. And you're playing Combined Arms, which I think is one of the best detachments out there. You've got 3 of Acadian shock troops. Cool. You'd probably go down to 2, but 3 is good. Bullgrin, 3 of them. Oh, 2 units of 3. Cool. 2 units of 10 Scions. A unit of 5 Scions. Battle Tank ×2. Exterminator. Death Strike missile. Now you're just doing it for the lulz. That's hilarious. And 2 Scout Sentinels with a Heavy Flamer HK missile. So it depends on, like, this is a good balanced list. Like, it has some fun elements like the Death Strike. Sure, that's not necessarily something I'd say is, quote, competitive, right? But I would run it just for fun. A couple of the war gear options and things, and unit sizes and number of units is something that I'd say you could probably tweak a little bit to get more efficiency out of it. And then, of course, some choices like Ursula Creed and Acadian Command Squad is probably something I would try and fit into almost every guard list, especially a combined arm detachment for the 24-inch like Voxcaster order plus the free stratagem, right? Plus the ability to get a stratagem back from Voxcasters. So I think that there's like having that combination with her is very useful. As for the Tempestus command squads, they're excellent. However, because Scion squads are so expensive, I would probably run 2 units of 5 Scions and each run with a command squad. So they're 10 strong. So command squad and 5. And that would be like the 2 hammer units, which then saves you those points. The Bulgrins are okay. Like they're fine. They're good, like, they can kind of move block and stuff like that, or just kind of be trash that you can throw out into the middle of the way. I don't think you need 3 Cadian shock troops. I think you can do 1 unit with a command squad and Ursula, then 1 unit by itself. The battle tanks are great. Limerus is great. The Death Strike is, sure, like I personally would probably run a Basilisk or a artillery, like a unit instead of the Death Strike. But for fun value, absolutely. The Death Strike is absolutely hilarious, and I would run it for fun. And then for the Scout Sentinels, Heavy Flamer is cute, but I prefer the Last Cannon. So Last Cannon, Hunter Killer Missile, Chainsword, just to give you some extra anti-tank to crack open, like, or to kill, especially in the meta right now where there's knights and all this stuff. Like, just having some extra Last Cannons in there is important. The Rogoldo Commander is excellent with the Grand Strategist. Very, very good. Now, what would I like to see in, like, taking a bunch of stuff out? Things that I'd like to see you put in, as an example, a Hellhound. At least 1 for ignore cover, to strip cover from something, and to give you a good Overwatch threat, especially if you're taking the Heavy Flamers off the Sentinels. Like that, you can also keep them at range and don't have to get them too close. I would like to see Ursula Creed and the Acadian Command Squad. I would like to see a unit of Rattling Snipers, because being able to infiltrate something to stop scouts is mega important, and to stop infiltrates. Like, if you have access to 12-inch Denial Bubble, I would always try and recommend that. But 70 points in a guard list for Navigator, right? Because you have so many units anyway, you tend to be able to screen fine. Infiltrate to stop your opponent's scouts and to stop your opponent's infiltrates, especially with Poxwalkers and all this other stuff being a part of the game. And last but not least, if you can, Gaunt's Ghosts are just so good. Like, it's hard to make a credible guard list without Gaunt's Ghosts, because that unit is uppy downy, lone up, infiltrate. Like, it just does everything you need it to do. Yeah. And I hope that gives you some food for thought, Mr. Brimstone, as we come to the end of the show. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me. A huge shout out to Dr. V for the super chat. It means a lot. Thank you so much for hanging out. Of course, I will be back with more of this. There'll be a battle report next week. I will be in Tacoma, so I'm flying out on Thursday. I'll be in Tacoma Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you are at the GW Open in Tacoma, come say hi, and we will be able to hang out and do something fun. Of course, yeah, that'll be really fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody there. We'll do all that stuff as well, which would be great. Thanks for chat for hanging out with me on a Friday. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Zinth. You're all awesome. Thank you, Falls, Don Hoosen, Mark, everybody in chat. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'll see you on the Discord. We'll have a good time. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel, the link to the Patreon is down in the description below. You can also become a YouTube member. I do post all the exclusive stuff usually as to YouTube members. So if you want to do that, you can get access to all the extra content that I do as well for YouTube members too. So thank you so much. Take care, everybody. I'll catch you on the flip side. I've been Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Skari out. The Dark Kin. Bye, everybody.